Night was beginning to fall over the desert of Midian like a heavy veil of silence. The tired sun hid behind the distant mountains, painting the sky in deep orange, purple, and gold. The sand, which earlier had burned their feet, was now beginning to lose its heat, preparing itself for the harsh cold that only the desert knows. In that vast, almost endless scene, a small family crossed the dunes. Ahead walked a man with steady steps but a conflicted heart, Moses. In his hand, the staff. On his shoulders, the weight of a calling. In his soul, a secret he tried not to face. Behind him came Zipporah, his wife. Her eyes alert, her face marked by sun and dust, yet full of strength. Beside her, two tired but obedient boys, following their father without really understanding where they were going, or why. The sky was slowly darkening, and the first stars appeared timid, blinking above. Zipporah pulled her cloak tighter around her and quickened her pace until she was close to Moses. "You've been different since we came down from that mountain," she said, breaking the silence. Moses did not answer right away. He kept walking, looking straight ahead, as if he hadn't heard. But she knew that man. She knew when he didn't want to talk. "Moses," she insisted, "you're not good at hiding things. The desert echoes what we try to swallow." He took a deep breath, still walking. "God spoke to me," he finally replied. Zipporah gave a half-smile. "That I know. I saw your eyes when you came down from his presence. But that," she shook her head, "that was not just any encounter. What did he say to you?" Moses walked a few more steps in silence, as if each word were too heavy to come out. "He told me to go back to Egypt." The word Egypt fell in the air like a stone in a calm lake. Zipporah stopped for a moment, surprised. "Go back," she repeated, trying to process it. "To the place you ran away from." "To the place where it all began," he corrected, bitter. "To face Pharaoh, to set his people free." Zipporah looked at the boys, then at the desert, then at her husband. "So that's it," she murmured. "You're not just walking. You're heading toward war." Moses closed his eyes for a brief moment. "It's not just any war, Zipporah. It's not only with Egypt, it's with my past, with my fears, with who I was, with who I had to stop being." She walked a few more steps beside him. The silence returned, but it was no longer an empty silence. It was full of questions. After a while, she spoke again. "And why then, if God has called you, do you seem afraid?" Moses didn't answer. Because the truth was simple and sharp. He knew there was something unresolved between him and God, something that had nothing to do with Pharaoh or Israel, but with his own household. The covenant, the sign of the covenant, circumcision. The sons who walked behind them on that cold sand did not bear on their bodies the mark of the pact. He had postponed it, justified it, ignored it, and now the calling had arrived before obedience. The wind stopped suddenly, not gradually, not gently. It stopped as if someone had pressed a button. Zipporah's cloak, which had been swaying lightly, hung still. Her hair, which the wind kept trying to tangle, suddenly fell heavy over her shoulders. She looked around, suspicious. "The desert," she murmured, "went mute." Moses felt a shiver run up his spine. He knew what that meant. Heaven was paying attention. Farther ahead, he pointed to a formation of rocks partially buried in the sand. "Let's stop here," he said, "before it gets completely dark." Zipporah found it strange. "We still have a bit of light," she remarked. "You've always used every bit of the day. Why stop now?" He took a second longer than usual to reply. "Today is different," was all he said. They set up camp. The children helped as they could, bringing small bundles of dry sticks. Zipporah put up the cloths, organized the baggage, arranged a corner for the boys to rest. Moses, for his part, was focused on lighting the fire. He rubbed the wood, blew on it, arranged the embers. The flame would be born, grow a little, and die for no apparent reason. Zipporah watched in silence. At the fourth failed attempt, she came closer. "The fire doesn't want to stay," she said, her voice low but firm. "This is not just wind or damp wood. You know that." Moses stopped. His hands were trembling slightly. "Sometimes heaven answers before we ask," she went on. "What is God charging you for, Moses?" He lifted his eyes, finally meeting his wife's gaze. There was something in her eyes. It wasn't accusation, it wasn't sarcasm. It was discernment. It was the look of someone who knew him better than he knew himself. Moses sighed heavily. "I should have done something a long time ago," he confessed. "Something I ignored, something I pretended wasn't that important. And now, there's no way to run anymore." Before Zipporah could answer, the few embers that remained went out completely, as if someone had blown on them hard. The camp plunged into darkness. The boys curled up, frightened, and the silence, once only strange, now became oppressive. Suddenly Moses brought his hand to his chest, a tightening, a sudden pain, deep. He tried to draw breath, but air wouldn't come. The world spun, his legs gave way. "Moses!" Zipporah ran to him. He fell to his knees, then on his side, then on his back, his head hitting the sand lightly. His body began to shake, as if an invisible current was squeezing him from all sides. His eyes rolled back, his fingers twisted, his face filled with an expression of absolute pain, as if something were crushing his soul, not just his body. Zipporah held him by the shoulders. "Moses! Moses! Look at me! Say something!" He tried to move his lips. Nothing. He tried again. Only a hoarse sound came out. "Ah!" Zipporah looked around, desperate. "This is not sickness," she murmured. "This is not exhaustion." The air grew even heavier. That's when she felt it. She didn't see it yet, but she felt it. Someone had arrived. A glow began behind the largest rock. Faint at first, as if someone had lit a small lamp, but in just a few moments, that light exploded in intensity. It tore through the night like a white blade. Shadows ran along the ground, hiding. The sand shone as if it were glass. The boys began to cry instinctively. Zipporah pulled them back, placing herself between them and Moses. And then he appeared. The figure stepped out of the light. First the feet, firm, solid, touching the sand as if the very earth recognized him. Then the garments, long, shining, not moved by the wind, but by glory itself. Then the body, immersed in an aura of fire and purity. Lastly, the face, impossible to look at for long, like the sun in its full strength. It was an angel, but not just any angel. It was the angel of the Lord, the one who carries the name, the one who speaks as God, the one who judges as God. The whole desert seemed to bow before him. Zipporah felt her knees weaken. Her instinct was to throw herself to the ground, hide her face, disappear. But part of her remained there, standing, trembling, but standing. The angel took a step. The sand vibrated. Another step. The air grew denser, as if it were becoming hard, even for the wind to exist. He walked toward Moses. Zipporah felt her heart stop for an instant. "No," she whispered. "No, no." At that moment, Moses barely opened his eyes. Not with strength, not fully conscious, but with what little he had left. His lips moved, almost without sound. Zipporah leaned in, pressing her ear to his mouth. "What? What are you trying to say?" With a broken, almost lifeless voice, he murmured, "The covenant." That word cut into her understanding like a knife. Covenant, pact, circumcision, the mark he had never placed on his sons, the sign God had given to Abraham, the identity of a people set apart. And Moses, the man called to deliver that people, had not placed the mark of the covenant even in his own home. Divine wrath was not coming only against a man. It was coming against hypocrisy. There was no more time for excuses. The angel was only a few steps away. In his hand, Zipporah could see, mingled with the light, the shape of something sharp. She didn't need to hear words to understand. He had come to kill. For a second, everything seemed frozen. The angel standing still, Moses between life and death, the boys sobbing softly, Zipporah holding her husband, trembling. She let a whisper escape. "God, what do you want from us?" The answer didn't come in an audible voice. It came in her conscience. It came like a bolt of clarity. She looked at her sons. She looked at her husband. She looked at the flint stone kept among their belongings. She looked at the angel, and she understood. Either there would be covenant blood in that house, or there would be blood of judgment. She sprang to her feet, ran to the baggage, rummaged through everything, found the flint. The stone was cold, smooth, sharp. Her hands were shaking so much she almost dropped it. The angel, still silent, took another step. Zipporah felt as if the whole world had narrowed. There was no time. She went back to the older boy, her firstborn. The boy looked at her with fear and confusion. "Mom," he whispered, eyes full of tears. Zipporah held his face, crying too. "Forgive me," she whispered. "Forgive me for not having done this before. Forgive me for letting your father delay. But today, we're going to get right with God." And she did it. The circumcision. The boy's scream cut through the night like lightning. Blood ran over her hands, hot, real, undeniable. And at that moment, while the crying echoed, the angel stopped. Still trembling, Zipporah took the piece of skin, the symbol of the covenant. With blood-stained hands, she ran to Moses. The angel watched her. He did not stop her. Heaven seemed suspended over that act. She leaned over her husband, touched the blood to him, sealing the gesture. Then she stood facing the angel. Shittim, a Midianite woman, standing before the manifestation of the God of Israel, blood on her hands, eyes red from so much crying, but firm. And with a torn voice, yet full of the authority that comes from love, she declared, "You are a bridegroom of blood to me." The words were not just an outburst. They were a spiritual declaration. Then it happened. The light around the angel began to fade. Not completely, but the most intense brightness drew back. He took a step backward. The sand, which had been trembling, grew calm. Another step. The air became lighter. One more, and the sense of imminent death began to move away. In a short time, the light grew less intense, as if heaven had switched off a spotlight, and then he was gone, like one who has finished a judgment. Moses gasped, like someone breaking the surface after a long time underwater. His body, which had seemed that of a dying man, began to regain color. Zipporah dropped to her knees beside him, exhausted. "Moses," she whispered, "you're alive." He opened his eyes, confused, still breathless. What happened?" She held his face with her hands, still stained with blood. "God came to kill you," she said, not softening it. "And I saved you with what he himself had told you to do many years ago." Moses closed his eyes, ashamed. "I failed him." "But he did not fail you," Zipporah replied. "And I," she took a deep breath, "I didn't either." She rested her forehead against his. "You are my husband. But today, you also became my bridegroom of blood." The night passed, heavy and silent. Little by little, the sky began to lighten. First, a thin line of light on the horizon, then a soft gold spreading out. The dunes awoke with reflections of gold. Zipporah tended to the firstborn, now calmer despite the pain. She held him, rocking him, singing a gentle song in the language of Midian as she stroked him. "Bridegroom of blood. That way I'll know you're one of those who stay until the end, walking with us in each story." Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that God takes covenant seriously, but he is also powerful, to give us a second chance. Here, we tell the Bible like cinema. May God bless your life, and see you in the next story.